Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk. Happy New Year. Today on the docket, first, the Panhandler Patrol is on trouble in Mobile, Alabama. Second, a top New York Department of Education administrator is in trouble for traveling across state lines to meet a boy. Third, another case where people jump to conclusions. Fourth, let's talk urban camping. And fifth, and finally on the docket, the dumb criminal contestant of the day. Let's talk about it. Good day, Crime Talk aficionados. This is Scott Reisch of Crime Talk, and thank you for tuning in. Our first program of the year. First, we want to thank you for subscribing, and if you have not hit that subscribe button, we would ask you to please do so. What do you have to lose? It's free. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. Please leave us a comment on what you think about what we talk about here today. First on the docket, Panhandler Patrol is on trouble in Mobile, Alabama. So, like many police departments across the country and in many cities, panhandling is prohibited and or not encouraged. Some states, some cities have said it's a violation of an individual's right not to be able to panhandle. Others say it is a health and welfare issue that you can't have people standing in a intersection begging for money. Well, the Panhandling Police Department, trying to get into that Christmas spirit, created a quilt, a homeless quilt. And this homeless quilt was made up of signs that the homeless individuals begging out on the street corner would hold up. They put them together with tape of some type, held them up, and basically said, wishes from the 4th Precinct, a Merry Christmas, especially to our captain. Hope you enjoy our homeless quilt. Sincerely, the Panhandler Patrol. Well, obviously, a lot of people were outraged, and the police chief made a public apology stating that as a department entrusted with serving, protecting our community, we offer our sincere apology for the insensitive gesture on Facebook post by 2 of our officers holding up a homeless quilt made of panhandler signs. Although we do not condone panhandling and must enforce the city's ordinances that limit panhandling, it is never our intention or desire as a police department to make light of those who have find themselves in a homeless state. Rather, our position has always been to partner with the community service providers to help those faced with homelessness with hope to improve their quality of life. So, every now and then you think you're just going to have a little bit of fun and suddenly people get offended. You know, poor taste. The officers should have known better, and I bet they won't do it again. Next on the docket is let's just wait and see how things turn out. Some of you may have seen this story break last week where a police officer in Harrington, Kansas, stated that he went into a McDonald's and on the receipt to his coffee was written the words "effing pig." This news got out. It made national headlines. McDonald's was somewhat defensive, saying, "We don't believe this is going to be the case." The police chief came out and said, "Well, that's an unfortunate situation." Well, guess what? It turns out that the officer, who had been discharged recently from the Army, was a military police officer and had only been with the Harrington, Kansas Police Department for roughly 2 months, admitted that he had fabricated the whole story, saying that it was, quote, a joke. Now, the police chief backpedaled on his statement as well. He said, quote, "My reaction based on the initial incident was just my reaction based on what I believe. And that's a police officer who is sworn to protect their integrity is of the highest order, and it would be foolish of any law enforcement agency or professional to not take the word of their police officers until they can be proven otherwise." That's the police chief. Well, and this is the problem. Police officers have a difficult job. I have said this before. I will say it again. There are very good police officers out there, and there are very bad police officers out there. The problem with the police departments are that when there's a bad guy there, they don't get rid of him. They keep him there. They protect him to the bitter end because they don't want to lower or they don't want to raise the standard for all police officers. Now, the officer here in Kansas has been fired, but most cases they don't. And what the police chief said here is, well, he's a police officer. Why shouldn't we trust him? He's a police officer. And that is the biggest advantage that the police have, is that everyone thinks that they do no wrong, okay? That's simply not the case. There are police officers make mistakes. Whether a police officer, and I've seen it, detectives been charged with sexual assaults, lying, fabricating evidence, it happens. So I get it. You want to hope that the police officers who take this oath to swear and protect and serve are going to do the right thing, and most of them do. But you can't give them carte blanche, absolute truth. Police officers fudge the facts, they twist the facts to get the result. They are biased in the regards to what they say and how they say it. And when they get caught, you think this cop was going to think that until he was called on it. Oh, and why was he called on it? Because the video at the McDonald's showed it was not written by their staff. And if there wasn't video there, the police officer would have got away with it. Who knows how many people at McDonald's would have been fired because of that, because he was simply a police officer before any investigation had been done. And it turned out the cop was the bad one here. So leave it at that. All right. Next on the docket, let's talk urban camping. Now, you may say, urban camping, what is that? Okay. When I've gone camping or I've taken kids out into the woods to go camping, my kids, we pack a tent, we get our little camp space, maybe we take the fishing poles, and you go on a little hike. Well, they have urban camping now, which is kind of camping in the city. And I'm not trying to make plight of somebody who is homeless, okay? Anyone can become homeless. Most people are simply a few paychecks away from that. And if you don't have the help and family support, it can happen to anyone. I appreciate that. However, what is taking place in cities across the country is that a lot of people are camping on the city streets. They're camping in the parks. And if one has driven by or walked by some of these areas, it is a health hazard. I was in LA last year for a matter, and walking down the street, it just smelled like urine. There were drugs everywhere, the little needles, human feces. It was gross. It was disgusting. It was a health issue, okay? By prohibiting urban camping, it's not trying to be mean to people that are homeless. I want those people to get back on their feet again, just like anybody else. But when it becomes a health hazard, you can't keep it that way. Well, here in Colorado, Judge Johnny Barajas has found that the city of Denver's prohibition on urban camping, basically, is unconstitutional. And the grounds that he has made it are that it is violation of the Eighth Amendment. Let's just take a look at the Constitution and the Eighth Amendment. Excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishment inflicted. Well, the defendant in this particular case was sided with urban camping ban, and he was stating that the being arrested and being put in jail and having to post a fine would be cruel and unusual punishment. Now, in this particular hearing that took place, the judge did acknowledge the fact that the urban camping ban was not strictly enforced. In fact, people were given warnings that they needed to move along before anything had taken place. In very few cases had actually been prosecuted over the years. Now, this was a county court judge. It'll be appealed to the district court, and then from the district court, it would go up to the Colorado Supreme Court if that issue were to be unresolved or the Colorado Supreme Court think that it had of some merit. In theory, the case could also go up to the United States Supreme Court because it does involve the violation of a constitutional right. I think the district court will probably reverse this case because the state, under their general health and welfare clause of their constitutions, allows them to put in laws that we all don't like for health and safety purposes. So the judge rejected all of their arguments, but fell back on the Eighth Amendment. Basically, I think saying, well, I'll look like the good guy, but because no one is ever prosecuted for this case anyway. But it's becoming a bigger problem. It's going to have to be resolved some way. Throwing people in jail for being homeless isn't the answer, but nor is allowing them to create health hazards on city streets either. And today, our dumb criminal contestant of the week is Julie Miller, 40 years old, in Pineville, Kentucky. Miss Miller, who was on probation, had her probation violated along with obtaining a new drug charge of tampering with physical evidence because she tried to take a urine test. And instead of using her own urine, more than likely because it would have come up hot for the use of drugs, she used her dog's urine to try and pass the test. These results were determined, and ultimately Miss Miller confessed to using her dog's urine to pass her own test. Now, have people been trying to pass UAs while on probation or supervised release or parole for years? Yes. Will people continue to do this? Yes, they will, because they think they can get away from it. The classic is, and if you look it up, there's a thing called a whizzinator. Apparently, it looks like genitals, it feels like genitals, and it looks like you're peeing from genitals if someone is watching you take the UA. Ms. Miller obviously didn't look up the whizzinator, and I'm certainly not condoning anyone to use that. The best advice would be don't do drugs. All right? That's all we've got for you today. Have a happy new year. This is our first show back. Let us know what you think about what we talked about today. Let us know what you want to talk about. And as always, let us know of the cases you want us to cover. Have a great day. Thanks for watching Crime Talk.